Loy Bowlin, a self-taught artist in Macomb, Mississippi, called himself the original Rhinestone Cowboy. He decorated every surface of his home, including furniture and clothing. A mechanic by trade, the complex techniques he used in his artwork were all his own.
Didn't know how to show me nothing. It just come natural. I didn't go to no schooling or nothing. Just come natural for me.
Uncle Loy was an outgoing person. He enjoyed meeting people, and he was the type of guy that'd talk your arm off or just about anything you want to talk about. He'd say he'd dream about something, you know, and then he'd get up and put it on a cardboard, you know.
You know, he just had the vision. I mean, because when he started polka dotting the inside of his house, I don't know that was to get people to come there.
There's every bit as much compulsion in his work as you'd see in a Michelangelo or someone who just has to create art. And this is ornamenting architecture in a way that you would not find mainstream architecture or interior design people decorating a built environment. You just wouldn't see a house with this much rich detail applied to it. The closest is maybe Islamic tile work.
What's beautiful about this is it doesn't seem forced at all. It's, and that's something that's very difficult for a trained artist to introduce. He did this out of a need. And ultimately the best artists work from a need to do it, not because they're trained to do it. And it shows.
Most of the pieces are done on 22 by 28 inch poster board. And some of his earlier pieces, he applied some paint, the pink and blue. He seemed to like the kind of the medium light to light blue and that Pepto-Bismol pink.
He ordered the glitter by the pound, I guess, from the East Coast. Materials are all off the shelf, what we would call school grade, commercial grade materials, what we called in grade school construction paper.
He had it all in his head, you know. He'd just start, you know, like he'd sit down and write a letter. He had a picture of what he wanted to put on this cardboard, you know.
Following Loy Bowlin's death in 1995, the future of his life's work was uncertain. Katie Emdy became passionately committed to saving his home and preserving his art.
I mean, it was glittery, and there were Christmas ornaments, and the design. It was just beautiful. I mean, because it was glittery and I don't know, I talked to one woman who went there, and she said, you know, I almost fell to my knees. And I guess if that's the kind of thing you like, it's incredibly beautiful, and the designs. Then at one point I thought, I can't stand it. I have to, you know, if I'm actually going to buy it, I have to go up and see it one more time. So my mom and I went up, you know, again just for a night to see it, and because I started thinking, what am I doing? Is this really as great as I thought? And it was. And then, like towards the end of November 1996, I went up and bought it because it needed to be saved.
After Katie purchased the home, she realized the only way to preserve it as an art environment was to carefully take it apart piece by piece and move it into storage in Houston. She committed to this effort in the hope that it could one day be reconstructed and exhibited.
I think there were 16 trips to Macomb. Some were 4-day trips, some were 2-day trips.
She came just about every week, and that was quite a job, removing all that stuff and preparing it for shipment or movement without, tearing it up, a very fragile thing,
So, but it was an adventure. It was quite an adventure.
Katie and her friends documented the placement of the artwork with photos and diagrams so that the home and its contents could one day be put together true to the artist's intentions.
It was always so that it could be put back together. It was always so that it could be recreated. So I started taking stuff back, and that was really a difficult moment, to go into the bathroom and start taking things down. It was just like, it won't ever be this way again.
In the fall of 1996, Katie MD moved the house and its contents from Mississippi to Texas. In 1999, the Kohler Foundation agreed to acquire and preserve Loy Bowlin's home so that it could be reconstructed for gallery exhibit. While the foundation has been focused on preserving the work of self-taught artists since the 1970s, the Rhinestone Cowboy proved to be one of its most challenging projects.
Well, I think this project in particular brought newer challenges to the plate because there were so many bits and pieces, and because we weren't just framing a piece of art or putting back a piece of sculpture, we were actually building a home.
This is part of the Rhinestone Cowboy's life. It's not just art in and of itself. This was his living room. And as such, it really goes beyond art. It doesn't have a frame around it. It extends beyond the frame into his life. And it's very important that that is preserved. My role with this work is to, I believe, as a conservator, first and foremost is to stabilize it. Our hands-on methods for this protection is very sensitively mounting these works to archival backings with minimal attachments, but secure attachments.
Spanning 4 years, this project required a special kind of collaboration among disciplines, from engineering and carpentry to preservation and conservation. It also brought with it the challenge of designing an exhibit which could be dismantled for storage and shipment.
This time, the conservator had to be in communication with an architect, with a contractor, with a textile conservator, with an objects conservator, with the preparator, all of us with the curator, and it took a different kind of communication.
What came on early was the uniqueness of this. This is not something that's either traditional construction, it's not traditional display, and it's surely not traditional exhibition as you'd find in a museum. So we had conservators who work at a very fine scale. We're talking people with cotton swabs, and just millimeters of differences make a big difference to them. Then they're dealing with architecture where quarter inch, you're doing pretty good as far as the tolerance, okay?
You know, some of the key elements don't sound like things that materials that you'd use around art at all. Magnets, Velcro, sheet metal, unistrut. We had to really think outside the box and bring together new ideas that would hold together all the disparate pieces and make it seem as if they were seamlessly put together.
After a process of trial and error, a system using sheet metal, unistruts, magnets, and Velcro was devised to make it possible to reconstruct the home while preserving the fragile collages. The next challenge was to make certain the hundreds of pieces of artwork could be reassembled exactly as they were arranged by the artist.
When we got the collection, the bedroom ceiling was in over 200 pieces. Katie took an enormous amount of photographs of the home, and it was really the same approach as you would take with a jigsaw puzzle. We looked at Katie's photographs and tried to figure out which end was up.
Using KTMD's photos, the project coordinator created a computer map which would guide the process of reconstructing the intricate walls and ceilings.
From the preservation coordinator's aspect, that took the most time. We spent months putting those maps together, identifying each piece, making sure that that indeed was the piece that went in that spot. Once we created the computer images, we put it all together as a map. And this was a tool that was used then throughout the installation. The conservator used it first because he knew exactly where each piece went, and each piece was labeled so we knew we weren't missing any pieces. Then we used it, brought it in, and figured out which pieces went where on the wall, which pieces went where on the ceiling. It was a map that was instrumental in putting everything together.
8 years after KTMD rescued Loy Bowlin's home, the work of Kohler Foundation's team is complete. The result of their combined efforts is a celebration of one man's imagination, labor, and vision.
Fabulous. I mean, just the outside is fabulous. I can't believe it. It's fabulous. I mean, and he created, to me, a very amazing place, and I'm so happy that people get to see it. Because, I was thinking today that, I don't know, 100 people went to his house? And now thousands of people will get to see what he did.